What's up, homie? This is Howard Randolph calling from Wyandotte Lockup, and I have a bone to pick with Judge DiSanto. Yeah, so I violated my bond by calling my baby mama threatening her. You got a problem with that? And you know what else? I would do it again. And no, this sucker Phil from Time Served is gonna show this garbage case just because he's in love with Judge D's nuts and not portray me in a good way. So just remember I did it and would do it again. See you on the yard, nerds.
Grievance that have been filed or the status of any investigation, if any, I don't know. The court will also note that at any point in time, there could be any individual that is filing a grievance or a complaint against the court or staff members or myself. And so if that were the case, I'd have to have all those individuals transfer to different jurisdictions. As of now, the court doesn't have any information regarding any sort of grievance that has been filed or a complaint that has been alleged, so I don't even know what would be contained in there, and I can tell you that that would not affect this court's ability to hear the evidence and weigh it in an unbiased manner. And so the court feels it can still be fair and impartial, and so the court's going to deny the request transfer venue.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. All right, and so, I'm sorry, can you please have this stuff come in? Mr. Howard Randolph, do not turn around to watch Ms. Stuff walk into the courtroom. I didn't ask who you were looking at. I'm just indicating not to turn around and look as she's walking in the courtroom. Okay. Howard, ma'am, is there anybody here that can assist you with your son?
No.
Okay. All right. We have you stuff over there. And, okay. I'm gonna swear you. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear from the testimony about to give this matter the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You can have a seat, please. Mr. Kizek, there are a couple individuals here in the courtroom council that have said that they're here for this case. So there's a gentleman a couple rows back in a black sweatshirt with glasses. Mr. Shumke, are you intending on calling him as a witness at any point?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And then there's also a lady in black with glasses on her head. And I don't know what her relation to the case is.
She is a friend of my client.
A friend of your client. Okay. All right.
And I have no, I was not intending to call her.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. And so, ma'am, if you have a seat. Okay, well, we'll just have to make sure we're still able to hear you in the microphone. I'm going to have you lift the microphone up. Okay, thank you. And then speak directly into the microphone. If you could please state and spell your first and last names.
Pamela Dust, Pamela.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Kizek, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good morning, Ms. Duff. I appreciate you being here today.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me just lay some ground rules first. Mr. Kizek, I'm going to need you to speak directly into the microphone. Keep your volume up as much as possible, especially because I'm anticipating that you may not be quiet the whole time as cute as he is. So I'm going to need you to stay as loud as possible. And ma'am, you have to wait till the attorney is done speaking before you can respond, okay? Because we're recording these proceedings and it will only record one at a time. Okay?
And again,
I'm sorry, Mr. Kizek.
I'm sorry.
Perfect.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here today. I just want to ask you a few questions about some contacts that you alleged made by Mr. Randolph back on April. Did Mr. Randolph contact you on April 2023?
Okay, I'm sorry, just one moment. Okay, super cute, but I think I'm going to have a staff member come and we're gonna go off record. I'm going to have a staff member come and hang out with little guy for a little bit because we're not going to be able to have a clean record. So, is that so? Okay, so Okay, just one moment. You can all stay seated for just one moment.
I'll say anything to you when he contacts you.
Just that he was enjoying helping out.
And do you recall what numbers you received contacts from that you believe you used our Randall?
There's so many different numbers that I wouldn't be able to specify or pick them through because there's a lot of different ones.
Did you give those numbers to the police when they made the report?
Yes.
back in April?
And I said that I had thought it was possibly him, but I wasn't sure. So whatever they did after that is, you know,
Before you answer,
Since this proceeding, you tried to reach out to him a few times, correct?
correct.
But you don't recall, at least offhand, anything specific as far as him reaching out to you, is that accurate?
Yeah, I don't.
Now, would you prefer that you could have contact with him?
Yeah, in regards to Rio, yes.
So you don't feel, how do you feel regarding my contact? Are you afraid of him? Are you afraid to speak with him? So you had your brothers, you would rather there be some sort of contact division as long as it's about your child's time.
Yes, yeah, because it's our son. And I want him to be in our son's life.
Fine. And then as far as you know, you're not pursuing any charges against my client in McComb. Is that accurate?
I'm not aware of now.
And in fact, during the relationship, sometimes there's been good times and sometimes bad times, right? Most relationships.
Yeah, of course.
And then you indicated that when you had made reports, you thought that potentially it was my client contacting you, but now you're not sure.
Correct.
No further questions?
all right. Yeah. The court has a few questions. What about the messages made you think that it was Mr. Howard Randolph?
Just some references.
I'm
to-
sorry, let me finish the question,
Okay,
please.
I thought you were finished.
Sending you the text messages.
It just, I don't know, like, you know, we've gotten to arguments before and there's some things were said. And it just seemed like some of the things that were being said were kind of the same.
What specifically was being said that you thought it was Mr. Howard Randolph?
I don't have it for me, I can't really say what, like, I would think regarding it would be, because I don't have it in front of me, it's been, you know, a minute.
Hasn't been a minute, it's been a month.
Okay, a month is a long time, like I said, I work hard every day, I stay busy, you know, that's like, the furthest thing from my mind is the.
Yeah. You thought enough about the messages to contact the Macomb County Sheriff's Department.
Right.
What about those messages did you believe made
Like
it seem as though,
the way that
let
they
me
were
finish
talking.
the question, please. That you believed it was the defendant that was sending you those messages.
I guess like the slang and the way that they were talking was what made me believe it.
The slang and the way,
Yeah, just how things were worded, I don't.
okay, was there any discussion regarding your child?
I think there may have been a reference to Rio.
Was there any reference regarding any threatening behavior?
Possibly, like I said, I don't remember. It's been a month ago, that's a long time for me.
Okay, and then what about the emails? Why did you think it was Mr. Howard Randolph that was sending the emails to you?
Because just how things are worded, you know, that's why.
Okay, so give me an example, please.
Like if, I don't know, just the way things are worded, I don't know how else to explain it. I don't have anything. Like I said, I don't have anything, I don't recall it like that. I don't recall specific emails.
Were there did you ever receive any photographs of anything sent to you?
Photographs of my apartment, nothing wrong.
Okay, and what happened as a result of that?
I made a report.
Okay, and in that report, what did that report indicate?
That someone was at my house.
Someone or one particular person?
I mean, I assumed it was Mr. Randolph, but now I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure if it was someone. Like, I don't know who's doing these things, I don't know.
Okay, why did you think it was Mr. Howard Randolph when you made the report?
Just because of past incidences. Between him and I, like arguments and things like that, I just assumed it was him.
Okay, and why do you think it's not him?
But, I mean, I think it may not be him just because, like I said, I received another email. And I don't know who it is, so like I don't know.
All right, when did you receive that email?
The other day.
The other day, meaning yesterday or the other day last week?
Yesterday, it was yesterday.
Yesterday. And what was the email address you received it from?
My own, someone hacked my email. I had to reset my password, and I even took my phone in to make sure that nothing was wrong with it, like if somebody had hacked it or anything like that. It's currently in the new break and fix it.
And what did the email contain yesterday?
A lot of negative racial comments. Should be even my son.
Okay, please be specific.
I don't want to be specific about what it says.
Ma'am, I'm ordering you to be specific. I need the information.
It said that something about that I was a nigger lover and that my son is an abomination and should have never been born. That's all.
And it wasn't signed by anybody?
No,
And it came from your own email address? And the message from when Mr. Howard Randolph called you from jail
yeah.
and said he needed help in getting out, what else did he say to you?
I don't remember. I cussed him out a lot. I remember.
And what did you say to him?
I don't know what to do. I don't know what you want me to do for you. I remember saying, I don't know what you want me to do for you.
And so what was his response? So what did you take that to mean?
They needed help getting out of jail, but he needed bond money. That's how I took it.
Did you take that to mean that you shouldn't testify at the bond hearing?
No,
Did you take it that you shouldn't tell the truth at the bond violation hearing?
no.
And the individual that's here in court, a couple rows back in the black sweatshirt, do you know who that is?
No.
The female that was on the other side of the courtroom, but she's not in here anymore, with the sunglasses on her head. I think she had red hair. Do you know who she is?
I never met her before.
When's the last time you saw Mr. Howard Randolph?
Quite some time. January maybe.
And where did you see him in January?
I met him somewhere and we went to see Rio.
Is there a parent time or custody action that's pending? Anywhere?
It's complete.
I'm sorry?
It's complete.
And so what, it was a result of that hearing?
I have also custody, his supervisor.
And who's the supervising visit, who's the supervisor for visitation?
The Senate or something.
Ma'am,
Unless
you need to please repeat that answer. He has to what?
he has to go to some type of a center. Like I'm supposed to take Rio to some place or something, or unless we decide on something else. That's the agreement as of right now.
And so is there a set schedule for that?
If there is, it's in paperwork. I haven't received the paperwork yet. I'm waiting for my attorney to send it.
Okay, and so would that center be Growth Works?
That sounds familiar.
Okay, and so ma'am, you want this court to believe that there's supervised parenting time set up at a center, an independent center, but then the two of you can agree on something otherwise? You're telling me that that's what the language in the court order would say?
He said that if we decide on something else, that's between him and I.
And you haven't received that court order paperwork yet?
I haven't received it yet. I'm waiting for my attorney to send it to email it to me.
And ma'am, in any of the messages that you received, text messages or email messages, was there any reference regarding consequences for Mr. Howard Randolph not being able to see his son?
I don't know.
All right, did any of those questions elicit further questions by the people?
Just one or two questions, Your Honor, if I may.
Okay.
Ms. Duck, you familiar with Mr. Randolph's, speech patterns and style, would you say?
Mr. Kizek, I need you to go up to the microphone, please.
I'm sorry. Are you familiar with Mr. Randolph's speech, Mr. Howard Randolph's speech generally?
Yeah, but that's half of the short. The whole thing of like.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I need you to keep your volume up and please answer only the question.
And when you receive those texts and emails from different numbers, were the similarities in the speech style consistent with how Mr. Howard Randolph would speak to you?
Sometimes and sometimes not.
And when you receive those communications and made the police report, did you provide those to the detective that was investigating the case?
Yes,
And you gave him copies of those text messages, photographs of them?
yeah, they took photographs.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Shunke, any recross?
No, not based on those questions.
Okay. Ms. Duff, the court's going to excuse you for right now, but I'm going to have you stick around in case there's any follow-up questions. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. I'm out in the lobby with our court administrator. Thank you. All right, any other witnesses, Mr. Kazan?
No other witnesses this time, Your Honor.
And Mr. Chunky?
No witnesses from the defense, Judge.
Okay, and so, Mr. Kazak,
Your Honor, I would ask at this time to find Mr. Howard Randolph.
are there any exhibits?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe I already asked the court, accepting that the police report was already provided the last court date, I believe, for Macomb County Sheriff's Department report 2023-0039.
Okay, but do you have those marked?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
Okay, so I need those to be marked. Actually, you know what? I'd like to recall this, stuff. I'd like to have this stuff back on the screen. Okay, I'm gonna have you come right back up. There was something I forgot to ask you about. And so, me and the courseman indicate that you are still under oath. And, one question that I forgot to ask you was, at some point, did you have some keys of Mr. Howard Randolph's? I need you to be much closer to the microphone, please.
Not that I remember.
You didn't have any keys of Mr. Howard Randolph's? No, I need you, not, okay, thank you.
I mean, I may have at some point in time,
Do you recall if there was any interaction between the Macomb County Sheriff and Mr. Howard Randolph regarding return of the keys?
not that I recall.
Not at all. Now, I'm going to remind you that you're under oath and that there is a penalty for perjury. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you recall if you had keys that Mr. Howard Randolph wanted returned?
I think I did. I think that there were keys that I had to, that I was supposed to return and I didn't.
Okay. And where are those keys now?
I'm not sure. Unless they're at the Macomb County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, are they in your possession any further?
No,
Okay. And so did any of the messages that you received address the keys?
he may have asked for his keys back in a message.
So, so one of the messages you think addressed the keys?
I'm sorry.
One of the messages mentioned the keys?
They may have, yeah.
And so what did it address regarding the keys?
I know he said one of the messages I remember saying, he said, my fucking keys. That's all I remember the messages was.
And do you know if Macomb County Sheriff's Department contacted Mr. Howard Randolph about the keys?
I'm not sure if they have or not.
And so, do you think the message that addressed the keys was not Mr. Howard Randolph?
I don't have the message for me, I don't know what it says, but I know that there was a message that I was asking for his fucking keys. The only message I remember him saying. Keys.
And was there anything else in that message other than the keys?
Not that I recall.
Do you know who Rio Randolph is?
He is
Okay. And have you set up an email address for Rio? Okay, hold on, Rio, hold on. I know you have a lot to say. Have you set up an email address for Rio?
Personally, no.
Okay, do you know if Mr. Howard Randolph set up an email for Rio?
I have no idea.
Do you know who Cheney P is?
That's one of my email addresses that was, again, hacked and I have no access to.
What about Duff Pamela 1?
That's my email as well. I don't have access to that one either. That one's also been hacked.
Okay. Do you recall a text message that was sent with the picture of your parking lot?
It was something about, we're gonna get you bitch. That's the only thing I really remember. It was an email. I'm sure it was, I probably didn't read it all, to be honest.
Okay. Did that message address the keys or your son?
I think it may have addressed Rio.
And you're telling this court it did not address your keys?
I don't have the message in front of me. I don't recall what it says.
Did you at any point tell Mr. Howard Randolph that you were going to send the keys through the mail? You did. So if a message addressed those keys being sent through the mail, would you have reason to believe that that was or was not Mr. Howard Randolph?
I mean, if I felt like it was him, I'd probably said it because I was mad. I was sending it to mail. I said I've been receiving interesting messages and phone calls from random people, so I'm just not sure anymore.
All right, well, counsel, I'm going to read this message that's attached with this picture into the record. And here's what it says. You want to keep playing these kind of fucking games, really, though. You hiding my son from me, you weak bitch. I hate you, nigga, and you won't give me my keys back. And if you sent my keys through the mail, it's on, bitch, for real, for real. And that's FRFR. You bet not have respected my shit and put my keys in no fucking mail. I swear to God, bitch, you crossed. Rio. You crossed the fucking line this time. You ain't got no reason to do me the way that you did, that you would say that you do. But I warned you, bitch ass nigga. I told you to stop playing me like a thick nigga when I put my whole livelihood on the line for you and your kids. When I told you don't bring this fucking drama to me, bitch, and you promised you wouldn't. Now look, you hoe ass bitch. When I was minding my own business and now I can't get you to stop running off with my fucking son. I literally gotta chase you fucking down to be in real life. And I'm getting real tired of this shit. I'm dropping tears, texting this message, and I'm begging you to stop before I snap and take you out, Pam. I'm fucking serious. I warned you, nigga. Last fucking warning. Produce my keys and my son, or you gone have real problems, my nigga. I've been through under the bus. I've had to deal with a racist ass, dirty, grimy ass bitch keep my son from me and not get the chance to watch him grow up in peace. I'm writing you this message with the last sane thought in my body for you to fucking stop. Before it's too late, Pam. I'm telling you, I just want to raise my fucking son. I don't care about nothing else no more. I've been brought up on more charges in the last year than in my whole life while fighting for my son at the same time. I don't know if you know how that feels, but if I was you, I wouldn't keep doing what you're doing. I'm warning you, Pam. And I will note that that was all written without any punctuation except one comma somewhere in there. So, ma'am, does that refresh your recollection as it relates to the message set with the picture?
Yeah. Is there like a phone number or email address associated with that?
Ma'am, you're not asking the questions, I am. And so, with that message, is there any reason why you would think that that's not Mr. Howard Randolph?
I mean, there's a lot of references to Rio and stuff. Maybe report.
Any questions from that, Mr. Kazak?
No, thank you. I sent an electronic copy of the document with a marked exhibit and listed the page, number of pages attached to it to this box.
Okay. All right. Gordy, can you see if she's received email? Mr. Sensi, any questions?
But as you sit there today, you're indicating you don't know if that message is from my client, correct?
Like I said, I mean, if it wasn't his direct phone or his direct email, I wouldn't know for sure. 100% sure.
Right, and you've indicated that you, beyond just that message, you've gotten messages with hostile intent from different numbers and different emails, correct?
Yeah.
And you don't know who they're from, correct?
Correct.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Okay. Do you have anybody else's keys that you had not returned? I'm sorry?
Not that I can think of.
So another message that says, hey bitch, or keys bitch, give me my keys, give me my keys, give me my keys, you fat ass bitch, you think I'm a fucking joke bitch, bet it up bitch, I'm gonna show you ass this time bitch. That would be from somebody other than Mr. Howard Randolph?
I'm not sure.
Then there's another message with a picture of your parking lot again that can you please ask CC to come grab Rio again, please? But this wasn't the case at all. I hate I brought Rio into this fucked up ass world with a person like you. You're the most shadiest bitch I ever met, you hoe ass bitch. I don't know what would possess you to do this, but you've gone paid for what you did to me, bitch. Does that message sound familiar? And so you would think that somebody other than Mr. Howard Randolph would have sent that to you.
I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know what number it came from. But I don't remember.
Do you have another child named Rio?
No.
Do you have another child with anybody else?
I said you were talking with someone else.
Okay. Are any of those children named Rio?
No.
Okay. And then underneath the picture, it says, we gone get you, bitch. And what do you have Mr. Howard Randolph's name saved in on your phone? Okay, I'll need some of them. Need you to be much louder into the microphone, please.
Indeed.
Okay?
And Ashley.
Okay, are you looking at something, ma'am? Do you have a watch on?
Yeah, it was bothering me, so I was trying to get some.
Is it an Apple Watch or anything?
Google.
Google Watch? Please take it off for a moment. Here, you can grab it, please. Is anybody sending you messages on that right now?
No.
And so, not one person has sent you a message on here while you've been testifying. Okay, I'm gonna leave it right here. Do you have them stored in your phone as fuckface asshole?
I don't think it was that. I know it was asshole, for sure.
Okay. You have anybody stored in your phone under fuckface asshole?
I can think of it.
Any questions from that, Mr. Kazak?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Any questions from that, Mr. Shunky?
No, Your Honor.
You remember receiving a message here regarding what would get a bitch ass murdered.
Remember, I'm not so like that.
Okay. At any point, did you send Mr. Randolph a message about you ain't gonna change, everyone warned me and I didn't listen?
Probably.
So do you recall after that message, the response saying nigga WTF, which the court knows what that means, you up here playing both sides, fuck you and fuck everybody you listening to, bitch. The shit you doing would get any bitch murdered and you think it's a game. And the next one, you foul as fuck. And then you respond on calling the court and turning all these messages in something. I can't read that. Does any of that sound familiar to you?
No,
No, not at all.
no.
Even though you acknowledged the first message that you sent.
I don't remember. Like I said, this has been a while ago. I can't remember all of these messages.
Okay. Any questions from those questions, Mr. Kazak?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Shenke?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. I think that that's all, but I'm going to have you stick around for a few more moments.
I go or do I have to wait?
I'm going to have you wait. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Kazak.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, I would ask the court to find Mr. Howard Randolph guilty of both bond violations. I think that although Ms. Duff was a bit hesitant and recalcitrant today on the stand, I think that her police report and the information that she acknowledged she provided to the Macomb County Sheriff's Department, the text message she acknowledged she provided to the Macomb County Sheriff's Department, and the content of those messages shows certainly to the standard required for a bond violation that Mr. Howard Randolph did contact her with threatening and harassing contact in violation of the court order. Further, Your Honor, she testified, again, somewhat reluctantly, but she did testify to receiving a call from Mr. Howard Randolph right after the last court hearing from the Wayne County Jail, in which he asked basically for him to be bailed out by her. I think that the court can certainly can use his knowledge of the case as well as the content that was provided that Ms. Duff made to the Sheriff's Department back at April 24th in making this determination regarding bond violation. I think Mr. Howard Randolph is intimidating to her. I think he's contacted her multiple times based on the evidence. I think they standard report for bond violation hearing. The court should find Mr. Howard Randolph guilty of both violations through the April incident of communication as well as for the more recent contact with the jail.
All right, thank you. Mr. Shunke, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond, but I'm sorry, Gordy, can you please have Ms. Duff come back in here for a quick moment? I'm just going to come to the podium here for a moment, ma'am. So I recall that you indicated that your phone was in a repair shop, correct? So tell me how it is that you're able to use your watch when your phone is in the repair shop.
My watch has a different number. I pay separately for my watch. I have a different number so I can use my watch.
Okay. Terry, please have Ms. Duff put in her password. And the court's going to look at your messages. Do not touch anything other than your phone for just your password.
Why do I mean, to go through my watch, why?
Judge, I mean, the basic housekeeping issue, I'm not sure if the court has the authority to go through her phone without a subpoena. She's here as a complainant witness. I just bring that to the court's attention.
Okay, I appreciate that. Because ma'am, I don't believe you when you say that you're not receiving messages from anybody while you're testifying.
Okay, well, I'm not. I was checking the time and my heart rate. That's the only thing I was checking. But I can't use it and make messages, but it would take me forever. Yeah, I would literally just sit there and like type it out as slow as possible to even send a message, but no one's messaging me.
Right, please enter your password.
I'm not gonna enter my password.
I just want to ask you a question about the last time you received a message. Please enter your password.
I'm not entering my password.
I'm not going to look at the content of anything. I want to know the last time you received a message.
I'm not entering my password. Unless there's a warrant or subpoena.
Okay. Fair enough. You're gonna see in the lobby. Mr. Shumke?
Yes, Your Honor. I think that what we have here is a lot of I thinks. Obviously, there's circumstances that these two have been in relationships for a period of time, and it's been tumultuous other times. And it seems like there's been points where they're trying to come to a conclusion on how to represent and take after their son. In fact, when we address the entire necessity of the bond condition, it is all right. Apprehension of been harmed. Does the complainant want to have contact with my client? And in the circumstance, she indicates she's not afraid of him. Now, apparently, she's been receiving messages, and she doesn't know the origin of those messages. But it's also been brought to the attention of the court through other circumstances that there is some racial discourse here. That potentially some of her family doesn't like my client's involvement with her, and that his racial position. It's not unfounded to believe that potentially there's tampering on the other side. The biggest scenario that we have here is the ambiguity and the uncertainty. And beyond that, we have my client who just did 15 or 14 days in custody. I'd ask that obviously it was directly correlated with the fact that there was alleged that he was in contempt. I'd ask that going forward, there's consideration that he be released. And potentially, if the complaining witness would like to have no assault of contact, that might be something the court could entertain so that we can get back to the case sheet. Because at some point, we've gotten here 3 Wednesdays in a row, and we haven't even gotten to the trial yet. What we know is that McComb, at least this point, has not had charges against him. I don't see anything. I see that there's a police report. That police report is just a hearsay document, and it's been unsubstantiated. We don't have anything, including a complaining witness's testimony, tying my client into this contact. Maybe it was him, maybe it's not. We don't know. So I'd ask in consideration the amount of time that he's done in custody, that there be some amendments made to the bond, and that we can only come back here for proceedings directly correlated with maintaining his innocence. Going forward, I hope that this is the last time that we find ourselves discussing something unrelated to the case in chief. But my client understands that he has to have deference and respect to the court. He understands that there's contact provisions that will be implemented. And even if there's circumstances that he feels he needs to speak with the complaining witness, unless otherwise authorized by the court, he will not sidestep the orders. And I hope going forward, we can find ourselves having an advantageous maneuver into getting back to fighting this case and maintaining my client's constitutional rights. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you. The court will note that the charge that's pending right now in this court is aggravated domestic violence. As a condition of Mr. Howard Randolph's bond, which at that point was a $10,000 personal bond, there were multiple conditions, specifically no contact with Ms. Pamela Duff, phone contact, text message, email, social media, anything of the like. And he also was not to appear at her residence or place of employment. What's been brought before the court was a bond violation hearing, that was then set for a hearing. The court will note as well that the first date of the hearing, May 10th, Ms. Duff appeared via Zoom late, indicated she had a flat tire. There was an objection to her testifying via Zoom, so we scheduled it to May 17th. Ms. Duff was not present. Ms. Duff was then served personally with the show cause, and she appeared today. So we held the hearing today. And while the report itself as counsel indicated, may be unsubstantiated as far as not having any testimony, independent testimony from the officer taking the report, the court will note that the rules of evidence aren't specifically applied in a bond violation hearing as they are in specific criminal proceedings. The court will also note that the court is not relying on the police report per se, but the attachments on the police report that the court questioned Ms. Duff on, which both counsel had the opportunity to ask follow-up questions. There is zero doubt in this court's mind that Mr. Howard Randolph is the individual that sent these messages to Ms. Duff. The messages referenced the keys, referenced Ms. Duff keeping their child, Rio, away from Mr. Howard Randolph, and specifically referenced those issues within the messages that accompanied a photograph of Ms. Duff's parking lot. Within those messages, further, the court will acknowledge that there were threatening statements made within those messages. The court will also note that Ms. Duff clearly did not want to be here and testify. She clearly was trying to defend Mr. Howard Randolph and minimize his behavior. The court will also note that in previous cases involving these two parties and also Michelle Duff, who's Pamela's mother, the court will note that yes, there's been racial undertones and connotations, and the court acknowledged that previously when it was brought to the court's attention. The court will also note that Mr. Howard Randolph was initially as a condition or as a bond, was set as a bond in this matter because the court had to set this for a bond violation hearing, and the court wanted to ensure the safety of the complaining witness in this matter and the complaining witness in the bond violation hearing, that the court indicated that there was going to be a bond that Mr. Howard Randolph would have to post on the bond violation hearing since the parties were coming back for a second day. At that point, Mr. Howard Randolph violated the court's order at the beginning of those proceedings, and so the court held Mr. Randolph in direct contempt of court. Mr. Howard Randolph then continued on in the court, added an additional 10 days because the first contempt of court was 15 days. And the court will also note that there is clearly, even well beyond preponderance of the evidence as relates to what the court has found and as relates to Mr. Howard Randolph contacting Ms. Pamela Duff from the Wayne County Jail within hours of this court's order reminding him not to have contact with Ms. Duff and just being held in contempt of court for not following this court's orders. So the court finds there's bond violations that have occurred, and Mr. Kazak, your request at this point.
Your Honor, I think that I would ask the court to give sentence Mr. Howard Randolph, give him jail sentence for violations for this. I think that if this were an isolated incident, the court would certainly consider that in making its determination. However, this is not isolated. So this is a continual pattern in favor of Mr. Howard Randolph, attempt to intimidate the complaining witness and attempt to disregard this court's clear instructions not to contact her. I think given the period this has occurred, the fact that he's so clearly violated the court's order, the court should give him impose a jail sentence for those violations. And I would ask, I would leave that discretion to the court regarding blame for that sentence.
All right, and so the court will clarify as well for the record that the court's finding Mr. Shahid Howard Randolph guilty on the bond violations. Okay, and Mr. Shunke, anything else?
Yes, Your Honor, as to violations, I respectfully request that he be admonished for 14 days, give 14 days credit. When I got brought on this case, my client and I used to be almost on a daily basis, and unfortunately, the last couple of proceedings, we find ourselves in this predicament, but I think that it's imperative to see that when the complainant got here, she did not appear intimidated, afraid. She in fact wanted to have contact with my client. And I think at the end of the day, when looking at what he's been admonished with, he's been in custody now for 2 weeks. In this circumstance, I'd also like to reestablish my reconsideration on the contempt charge. The secondary one, as you can see, their child account is very vocal, and I agree. Yes, there were times that his son was on the screen, other times that the son was not on the screen, but off screen, clearly making noise. I did have contact with my client. He indicated that obviously the original contempt charge was interrupting the court. He had just found out that he was going to go into custody. He was going to be missing the custody proceeding that was going to be done at the circuit court level. It was a very emotional period of time. And then he did maintain that he was not trying to disobey the court by having contact via Zoom with the complainant, but rather saying, imparting words to his son that he not knows when he's going to see next. So for that consideration, Judge, I'd ask that 2 weeks, credit 2 weeks, and then potentially the reconsideration with the bond, as well as the additional 10 days contempt. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, the court will indicate for the record that the original 15 days contempt was for the direct contempt from Mr. Howard's continued interruption of the record and outburst in court, which the court had addressed prior to the court proceedings that day. The court will also note that upon Mr. Howard Randolph being taken into custody, he looked at the screen and said, "I love you, baby." And that the only individual on the screen at that time was Miss Pamela Duff. And so for that reason, the court indicated an additional 10 days of contempt. 10 days jail for contempt. What the court will note is that what's clear to this court is that Miss Duff clearly didn't want to be here. The court has no doubt that Miss Duff has some apprehension of imminent harm. So much so that Miss Duff, when she received these messages, the photograph of her parking lot where she's relocated in a completely different county, that Miss Duff is afraid for her safety. Charges in this matter are for aggravated domestic violence. This court on March 16th indicated a $10,000 personal bond with specific bond conditions. Not only were those conditions violated by Mr. Howard Randolph, the way in which they were violated is extremely concerning and troubling to this court. Referencing harm to Miss Duff, referencing behavior getting somebody murdered, extremely concerning to this court. Further, after this court reiterated the no contact, ordered an additional 10 days jail for additional contempt because the court believed that Mr. Howard Randolph was making a comment to Miss Pamela Duff. While in the Wayne County Jail, Mr. Howard Randolph contacted Miss Duff, whom he's ordered to not have contact with. The court has zero confidence that Mr. Howard Randolph will comply with this court's decision, this court's orders. The court, for the safety of Miss Duff, is going to indicate that Mr. Howard Randolph's bond is revoked. And the court is going to indicate as a sentence on the bond violations, "30 days jail."
Your Honor, we would be respectfully requesting consideration for 14 days credit.
And that council, the court did give consideration for that, which is why the court indicated 30 days jail. So what I'll indicate is 45 days jail with credit for 14 days. So that's more clear. And the pretrial is scheduled for tomorrow. So I don't know if council, you've had an opportunity to speak with each other since it's a state day. And so there doesn't have to be additional transport or whatnot.
I'm sorry, Judge, my client speaking, I didn't.
Tomorrow's the scheduled date for the pretrial. So I don't know if there's been discussion with council regarding resolution of that or what we're doing with that.
You can discuss that, Your Honor. I think it's unlikely we're going to be able to reach a sort of resolution, but I can certainly discuss it.
Judge, I don't have, my next court that I have listed is June 1st for the next court date. And I know I'm in Kalamazoo tomorrow for a felony exam. So.
Oh, I think, you know what, I think that did get adjourned. And maybe just didn't get into the register of actions here. Do you want to discuss that amongst yourselves today to see what it is that we're doing, or do you want to wait until June 1st?
Yeah, since we're here, I would like an opportunity to discuss it with my client. I don't believe that we'll be solidifying a plea agreement, and then it's whether or not how he'd like to avail himself as far as his options in trial.
Okay, all right. So what we'll do is we'll take a recess, and then you can obviously go in the back.
And Judge, just I know that you've already ruled on this motion, and one thing I'm going to specify in front of my client is that when the court makes a ruling on a motion, I can always ask for reconsideration. However, the motion's been ruled upon, so I reestablish a motion for a change of venue.
Okay, and counsel, you're correct. I have already ruled on that, and so if you'd like the court to reconsider that and you'd like to file a written motion, the court would certainly entertain that at that time. And so as I was saying, you can go in the back and chat with your client, and then Mr. Kazak, you stick around for a little bit so you and Mr. Shepke can chat.
Yes.
Okay, so we will be in recess. All right,
Thank
we're
you,
going to
Judge.
be off the record. Bless you. And then, Mr. Serrano, you have 2 matters?
I have one matter, Mr. Du Bois, all I know, Your Honor, it's just gonna be a adjournment request,
Okay, just one moment.
and then I won't have any other case.
Ma'am, what case are you here on?
I have a food truck.
Oh, okay. What's your last name?
Can't get it in.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, right there. Okay, just one moment.
2 hours later.
As to procedure, regarding the procedure, whether it would be a plea or a trial, and then I availed him of his options for trial. But at this time, he'd like to avail himself of a bench trial. He is aware that that means a jury will not be panel, and he did knowingly and willingly sign his waiver, as did I, as did Mr. Kazak.
Okay, and so Mr. Howard Randolph, you understand that you have the right to have a jury trial, correct? Is that yes?
Yeah.
And you understand the rights that you have with the jury trial, that you will not have at the bench trial, correct?
I mean, I do, but yeah.
Okay, so specifically, instead of having 6 people deciding whether you're guilty or not guilty, you're going to have myself.
Yes.
Okay, and that is what you want to do.
Yes.
Even though you've asked twice for your case to be changed to a different venue, you want this court to be the trier of fact.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're sure you don't want a jury trial?
Sure.
And you've had opportunity to speak to your attorney regarding this, correct? And it appears, based on the length of time, I know that there's some other matters that have been handled, that you've had an opportunity to speak to your attorney at great length, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you want to waive your right to have a jury trial and be tried without a jury and by the court.
Well, unless you think otherwise.
Oh, sir, it's not what I think.
I mean,
I'm just-
actually numerous times.
I am, because I'm making a record and I need to make sure that you're fully aware
That I won't have to do a trial.
that you will not have a jury trial. That's why I'm doing it. I'm not suggesting one way or the other which way you should go. That's completely your decision and completely your right to have a jury trial or a bench trial. Either way you want it. I'm just making sure that you're fully aware and making a record of it. And so that it's knowingly waived for a jury trial. Okay, so
Yes.
that's why I'm asking multiple times, not to
Yes,
suggest,
I'm gonna bench trial, so it's a jury trial.
okay. And the court, counsel, even though the court's ruled already on the motion to change venue twice and denied it, Mr. Howard Randolph, you don't have any issue with this court continuing?
Only issue that I'll be treated fairly.
Okay. All right. The court will indicate that as the waiver has occurred in open court and defendant has been arraigned and properly advised of his right to a jury trial and an opportunity to consult with counsel and both plaintiff's counsel as well as Mr. Shemke and Mr. Howard Randolph have signed the waiver of trial by jury. The court will indicate that this matter will be tried without a jury. And so now we need to pick a trial date, counsel.
I have my, my calendar.
Okay. At 1:30 in the afternoon,
I don't have a conflict, Judge.
okay.
Judge D's nuts really thought my baby mama was gonna give me up, yeah, okay? You lose. And now I want a bench trial. I want you, Judge, to look me in the eye and decide my fate. I'll see you in June. Make sure to subscribe to Time Served because I guess Phil was fine. Anyway, I have to get back. It's karaoke night and I'm signed up for a little Bon Jovi. Bye-bye for now.